Hey everyone, it's Dr. Angela here. I wanted to talk to you today about how systemic racism affects obesity. I had planned to talk to you about, I had a three-part series on the food industry. And last week I talked about how they create cravings. Today I was going to talk about how they market convenience. And then next week I was going to talk about how they market to children. And instead, with everything that's been going on, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk about how it is that systemic racism affects obesity. It's a really poignant topic right now. We have a lot going on, so I realized that there's a lot that I personally, as a white woman, don't understand about racism. But I do want you to know that it was probably almost 20 years ago now, I worked at the state health department here in Washington State where I live. And we were putting together a report for Healthy People 2000, which was the big public health efforts to set goals for the year 2000. And one of the parts of the report that I was in charge of was a section called the social determinants of health. And so I learned a lot then about just how it is that poverty and racism and class affects health. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that information and kind of update you a little bit so that you get a sense of how important this topic is, not just in terms of police brutality, not just in terms of how Black people are treated, but how it is that it affects their health too. Okay, so here is I have 4 things to talk about in terms of this. And the first thing I want you to know is that obesity prevalence rates are higher among minority populations. And so I dug up some recent statistics. This is from the American Journal of Public Health, and this was printed in October of 2019, so less than a year old. And they have statistics on obesity rates in minority communities. And what they say is that among women, so white women have an obesity prevalence rate of about 38%. Let me make sure that's right. 38%, yes. Black women have an obesity prevalence rate at 55%, and Hispanic women have an obesity prevalence rate of about 51%. Okay, so definitely obesity rates are higher among minority communities. So there's already that higher prevalence just to start with. Okay, second thing is poverty. So non-whites experience poverty at higher rates than white people do. Okay, and let's face it, in the United States, nutritious food costs more than junk food does. Okay. So if you think about, about it, one of my patients used to live in Chile, and he said that in Chile, you would have to spend $6 on a box of packaged cake mix, $6. Whereas if you went to the farmer's market and you just bought fruits and vegetables from the farmers right there, it was cheap, it was inexpensive. So why is that reversed here in this country? Why is it that a box of cake mix or a bag of chips is so cheap, or just go to McDonald's and get something off their dollar menu? Why is it so cheap? Whereas healthy, nutritious food is more expensive. The answer has to do with the way that we subsidize food production. Okay, and it has to do with the politics of food production. So we subsidize farmers that grow corn and certain types of crops that can then be easily used by the food industry to create stuff fast and cheap and convenient. Okay, so they create it fast and cheap, and then it's fast and cheap for us to eat. So definitely poverty has an effect on obesity rates. Here's something else. Research shows that minority communities are disproportionately located in what's called a food desert. So what exactly is a food desert? The government defines a food desert as an area where 33% of the city's residents live more than 1 mile away from a supermarket. and about 20% earn salaries below the poverty level. So these people live in areas where they don't have cars, they don't have access to bus systems really. Trying to get to a supermarket is hard. And so they are shopping at little convenience stores. And convenience stores have heavily processed foods in them, very few nutritious options, not a lot of fresh stuff at all. Okay, so that is a food desert. Okay, so in these areas, the obesity rates are very high. They are at high risk for diabetes and hypertension and other types of life-threatening illnesses. And of course, if they happen to run into the COVID virus, they're at high risk of dying from COVID. Okay. Now, I've been thinking also about the food industry or the food industry marketing a lot lately, and there's interesting disparities in terms of food marketing to minority communities as well. Okay, and this I'm quoting from a study. I've got two different studies. One was done between 2013 and 2017, and it was spending on TV advertising. And when they looked at TV advertising in general, the amount of TV money spent on TV advertising had gone down in that time. However, the amount of TV advertising proportionately geared towards Black teens had gone up 50%. So they directed food marketing advertising, $217 million worth of food marketing advertising to Black teens in 2013, up to $333 million in 2017. That's interesting, don't you think? Another study looked at food advertising just purely in the year 2017, and they found that 80% of the $11 billion in food ads were for unhealthy fast foods, candy, sugary drinks, and unhealthy snacks. Okay, can you imagine $11 billion worth of food ads in 2017? The top companies that were targeting the Black market were Taco Bell, Domino's, Burger King, Wendy's, and Arby's. All right. So the author of this study, her name is Dr. Kumanyika, told NBC News, she said, the marketing is so pervasive that it's almost invisible. I'm not sure it's really widely known in Black communities that this amount of money is being used to promote unhealthy products. Some companies spend quite a bit of money to endear themselves to these communities, and they don't even give public health organizations a chance. So I'm not sure what the answer is here, short of a complete reformation of the food industry and their marketing tactics, of course, and a shift in how we subsidize and we price food. There's absolutely no reason why healthy food should be more expensive than junk food, except for how easy it is to produce it, and that has to do with how we subsidize the food production process, okay? There's also a lot of work to be done to make healthcare more affordable, and that's a whole other big question, right? So yes, systemic racism is pervasive, and it does have health effects, and it does have effects on the weight of minority people, how easy it is for minority people to gain weight, how difficult it is for them to lose it and to keep it off. When you don't have access to anything other than processed food, it's going to be very, very difficult. And the other thing is, you know, I'm really starting to understand just how frightened, particularly Black people are all the time, just walking around. I had no idea until the stuff I've been reading recently, just how frightened people really are. And, you know, when you're walking around in that state of always in this fight or flight, am I in danger, am I not in danger? Like your food choices, thinking about how your food choices are going to affect your future is not going to be at the top of mind, okay? So that's another piece of it as well. That systemic racism can really threaten people in that way. So these problems are big. And I, for one, am really glad to see that we're gathering the political will to actually change things, okay? And to end the systemic prejudice that's been going on. And one thing that I think we can do is to demand that the food industry stop marketing junk food to minorities and to children. I would boycott these food companies that are specifically marketing to minorities and Black people in particular. So Taco Bell, again, it's Taco Bell, Domino's, Burger King, Wendy's, Arby's. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there anyway because the food isn't very good for you. But if you care about your health, it makes sense to spread the word that these companies are specifically targeting Blacks and other minority communities. Okay. The other thing that I want to ask you is, and this is specifically for people of color who may be watching this, if you have ever seen anything on my platform or in my office that has been discriminatory, I want to know about it. I grew up in a racist family, and so I have done everything in my power to make sure that I am not perpetuating that. I want that to end. But I'm discovering from listening to other people that there are a lot of things that we whites say and do that we don't even know is racist or discriminatory. So I want to know about it. So if you wouldn't mind just typing in the comments to this video, or you could even send me an email at info@journeybeyondweightloss.com. That would be awesome, just to let me know. And what else? Oh, if you want to learn more about what the food industry is up to and how they manage their marketing to get you to buy stuff, I have a handy guide. It's called 5 Dirty Little Secrets of the Food Industry, and I have a click to the link to the to get that document if you would like to review that and read it so you know what to do. Okay, so that's all. I will talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.